welcome, and we're going to have the best time today. Don Stallings is our guest, and Don, you were born here, grew up here, and as I look around in your office, it's just amazing the life you've lived, the people you've met, the people, the good work you've done. But I really want people watching to realize that what you mean to Rocky Mount, what you mean to me and all of us, and kind of how you got started. Because you hadn't always had the life you have now, did you?
No, but I was, give my father credit, I was left a start. A good start. And he had a good business, a good reputation. He got sick when I was with the Redskins. And I'd signed my next year's contract. And in the meantime, he told me, he said, Don, if you're gonna come back to the business, you need to come now, because I got to hire somebody. And if I hire somebody, there might not be a place for you. So that made my decision easy. And there was no money in pro football then. It was before the big TV contracts. And so I came back and been here ever since. Been blessed with good people, blessed with good bankers.
Right, and speaking of good people, I had the best time yesterday. I called friends, family, you name it. I really decided I was going to learn a whole lot about you. I thought I knew a lot about you, but your knack for hiring good people, I have heard people say that you have the best keen instinct for hiring the right person for the right job, and therefore you have a lot of really long-term employees, don't you?
Yeah, we don't lose them. I'm not going to wood. But I've had Eagles going through its first, second, third. Lance Collette is the fourth president of Eagles. The three before him retired.
And Boyd Tolman,
Boyd Tolman's been here 30
He said he could retire, but he said, I love it. Well, don't tell him I told you that. Because, but no, he said, where would I go and what would I do? He said, I love working for Don. I'm all here. I want to go back, though. I want to talk about when you were a little boy, kind of where you lived, and you probably hear many people have heard that your nickname is Coal Bucket back then. Yep. Where did that come from?
Coal Bucket. Coal Bucket came from one Saturday. I would go to the coal yard, and Daddy sold stone, rocks, and coal. And tobacco sticks. Well, I'd take the rocks and tobacco sticks, and I made me I tossed up rocks. And the railroad track was over here, and the warehouses were across the railroad track. So if I hit a rock on top of the warehouse, that was a home run. So I was literally making up a ball game.
About how old were you then doing that?
Well, I was in the Boy Scouts, 12.
Okay.
12, 13.
So early days, you're athletic, honing your skills.
And I was in shorts one day, and I had to go. My scout troop Troop 113 was sponsored by Sidney Blumenthal, Caramount Mills, which was right up and across the street from where the plant was. Well, I go to preparatory camporee. We're putting up tents and stuff, getting ready for go to the camporee, and my legs were black from the shorts down, just walking that coal dust. And one of the boys made a comment, said, Stallings, you look like you've been on a coal bucket.
And it stuck.
And that stuck. In the Redskin program, Don Coal Bucket Stallings.
It followed you to the Redskins?
Yeah.
How about that? Well, you were an athlete in senior high. Rocky Mount Senior High.
I was the first class to go through senior high.
You were?
Yeah, senior high opened my sophomore year.
Did you work with your dad at all growing up?
Every Saturday, Friday afternoon and Saturday, if I wasn't playing ball during the summer, I was at the pumping gas. He had 2 gas pumps out in front of the office on Rick Street. And the only way I could get out of doing that was playing ball. So I played every sport that I could play. Little League, Pony League, everything. American Legion. So I tried to run as hard and work as I could. I'd rather play ball than work.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, Don, everybody who knows you knows that you bleed blue blood, Carolina blue. I mean, you went there as a freshman, right?
Yeah.
And played football there. Talk about Carolina and what Chapel Hill means to you.
Well, through the contacts that I have made there, and Jim Tatum recruited me to Carolina. I was a big state fan. Mm-hmm. All through high school, I was going to state, NC State. That was they had a great basketball teams, Chavlick, Motodet, and those guys. But Tatum, my visitation in Chapel Hill was when Maryland came down in 1956. They were ranked #1 in the country, and Jim Tatum was the coach. And he was bigger than life, sitting across the island. And of course, I left that game, and Tatum, the rumors started floating around at the end of the year that Tatum was going to come to Chapel Hill. He was leaving Maryland. He was a Carolina grad. And he was going to come. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Jim Tatum. Jim Tatum was first coaching job, head coach was Kentucky, and on his staff at Kentucky was Bear Bryant, Bud Wilkerson, and Jerry Claiborne. Tatum left Kentucky and went after 4 or 5 years and went to Oklahoma. Well, Bud Wilkerson went to Oklahoma with him. Bear Bryant stayed at Kentucky and became head coach. When he was at Oklahoma like 4 years and went to Maryland. Well, he won national championships at Maryland, 2. Bud Wilson won 5 or 6 at Oklahoma. Bear Bryant won, I don't know where he won at Kentucky, but he won at Texas A&M. He left Kentucky, went to Texas A&M, and then to Alabama. And they were just, bigger than life in the coaching.
The best of the best.
Yeah, the best. Well, at Tatum's funeral, Tatum died. He died in July before my senior year started, and practice started in August, end of August. He was fishing up, Bear Bryant, up in Canada and got a tick bite and died of Rocky Mountain spotted fever.
Oh, gosh.
And when at his funeral, Wade Smith and I go to Rotterdam Airport and pick up Bud Wilson and Bear Bryant, who had flown him for Tatum's funeral, and carried him to the funeral home. And that was quite an experience.
Oh, I'm sure.
And, Tatum was big in life. Tatum influenced me going to Chapel Hill. And I changed. And, Carolina has, if you're in business in the state of North Carolina, you need to go to Chapel Hill.
But you and Billy, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, you served on the Board of Trustees, you have just the Rams Club, you've chaired so many organizations, but your generosity, I mean, Don, your heart must just be massive, because you don't just take and participate, you give back, and you really care.
Well, thank you. It's, like Chancellor House used to say, you walk down those gravel paths, that grit gets in the shoe, and it stays there.
Absolutely. Well, I had a great time talking, and your Big D is your name from your grandsons, Connor
right?
and Edward. And I talked to your stepson Herb, and he just said, his sons, that you're their buddy. From the time they were little, you took them fishing and hunting, but Herb takes full credit for the fact that you and his mother got married.
He probably should.
He said he mowed your lawn down at the beach. Y'all had beach cottages near each other, and that you only paid $5 for a double lot, and everybody else paid $10. He said he's a good businessman even back then. But when you were single and his mama was single, and y'all were at a Greensboro convention, not a convention, AC conference, and that he invited you to go to eat with his mama and him and Eddie.
That's true, he did.
Your first date.
Yeah, if you call it a date.
Matchmaker.
But it started it, and from then on we were.
And you and Billy have been married, what, about 40 years or so? Long time.
60, no, 80, good Lord. Gene, you shouldn't ask me. Now I'm in trouble with Billy
Oh, dear.
now.
Well, I can tell you, Hodge would have no idea. So
it's 40 plus years.
Yeah, great. Well, she has been
83, I think we got married.
She's been just a great partner and companion in many, many
Yeah.
ways. And I think a lot of people knew Eddie, and gosh, he lived, you know, he was born with a congenital heart defect, right?
Yeah.
The longest living person with that had, I think at 11 days he had his first surgery.
And he was the earliest baby to survive open heart surgery.
Wow. And
So Dr. John Kirkland at UAB, Birmingham, Alabama, did the operation. He was famous. And I think Eddie had 4 operations, 4 or 5, because, you know, as he grew. And he was a great guy. He was, you know, the good Lord don't take.
But you and Billy, in light of that, have helped others with heart disease. I think endowed something at Chapel Hill.
Yeah. And Billy's been very active in heart work. She was, you know, she was on the board of the American Heart Association, and she represented North Carolina there for years, and she's been very active at Chapel Hill, still is.
The Medical Foundation Board.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the sports, I remember I was on the board of trustees with you when there was the Stallings Evans Sports Medicine Facility with your name on it. You know, it's kind of scary nowadays to have your name on things. Sounds like you're pretty good going back, but you know, you just never know. But I was mighty proud of you when y'all did that.
Well, thank you.
And gave back.
It was quite an honor.
Well, Big D, where'd that come from?
Don,
okay, but big, and you're big. So, I want to tell one quick story and then we're going to take a break. So Herb told me that, is it a toy chest that they went, that the kids' hangar, they went to your hangar, and what was it that one of them said about your hangar?
Well, I think in the hangar that day was a bus, IRV, a boat, and a motorcycle.
Not an airplane?
An airplane.
And an airplane, okay.
An airplane. And I don't know where, it was Connor, I think, looked around and said, Big D, you got the biggest toy box anybody I know.
And I think, and we're going to talk about bigger, better. That's another nickname of yours, mine, bigger, better. So you have earned that for sure, but I bet those little boys, and they're what, a senior and a freshman?
One's a senior in high school, and that one's 9th grade at Virginia Episcopal.
And I hear that one of them, the senior, is it Connor, might be going to Chapel Hill, or
I
he's
think
looking
so.
at going to Chapel Hill next year?
Yeah. I think he's diehard on Chapel Hill now.
Great. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. And we're back with Don Stallings. Don, we've talked about a lot of your early years and your grandkids and whatnot, but I want to talk about Stallings Oil, which your father started, and Eagle Transport, and your other business interests. I mean, you sold the convenience stores.
Sold the convenience stores, sold the truck stops. And we had involved in 5 truck stops from Elkton, Maryland, down near Atlanta in Georgia, and on 85 and 95. And then stuck with Eagle. So,
and I see the trucks everywhere. I mean, you're what, the 7th largest nationally in trucking?
He was 2nd or 3rd in gasoline.
Okay.
Largest. Now, tank line's probably 7th, yes.
And how many
We have 27 terminals from
okay.
Houston to up in Maryland.
And the headquarters right here in Rocky Mount.
Headquarters here in Rocky Mountain.
Well, we need to know that. We need to be proud of that. That hometown boy did that and stayed here.
Hometown boy hasn't done it. Hometown boy had a lot of help doing it.
But as your employees and your friends have told me, you have always led. You're a wonderful mentor. You hire the right people, and you really allow them, and you make sure they know what they're doing. But you let them do their jobs. You don't micromanage.
I have one thing, Gene. I don't want to hire anybody that's not brighter than me.
Oh, well, I think a lot of your employees would say, that's. In fact, one of your employees said when you were about 60, something came up and that would happen around 75, and you said, well, I won't be here then. And clearly you have proved that wrong. I mean, and to have been an athlete, I mean, you had to have a lot of hard knocks in playing football and whatnot. And obviously you didn't have the concussion type stuff because you're smart as you can be.
I lost a bunch of teeth. My first year in high school playing football was my sophomore year. I couldn't play as a freshman because I'd had hepatitis.
Oh.
And Dr. Weeks wouldn't let me play.
K.D.
I was
Weeks.
in bed the whole summer before my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
I lost a lot of weight and everything, and I was really sick. So it was my sophomore year before I could play. Well, they didn't have the face bars then.
Oh.
And our coach was Knocker Atkins. You remember him?
Yeah, Neil Atkins' father. Dr. Neil Atkins' father, wasn't it? No?
Neil's cousin, Tommy Atkins.
Oh, okay.
Tommy's daddy.
Okay.
But Knocker played at Duke. He was all 7 at Duke, and he was a good football coach, but he was rough and tough. And he wanted you to use the proper technique. Well, the techniques back then don't cower your neck, because if you hit, you can hurt your neck. You want your head back. So here I go downfield blocking, no face bar. We had the Riddell helmets, the first year of the hard helmets. Mm-hmm. Crack, I hit a helmet. And lost, I wound up losing 9 teeth in that one instance.
Oh, gosh.
So.
And at that age to have all that was.
Lucky, my father had a first cousin, Doug Strickland, that was in the first graduating class at Carolina Dental School.
Were they related to the other Stricklands here who went into dentistry?
No, he was from Lewisburg. And he and my father were first cousins, but Doug was considerably younger than Dad. But he was a great operative dentist, but he got me the best dental care. When I went to Chapel Hill as far as root canals, and crowns, and everything else, prosthesis, the whole bit. People want to know who did that work later. Yeah.
Well, and you have given generously to the School of Dentistry at Chapel Hill too.
That's why, because they took such good care of it.
And appreciation. In the Rams Club, you have been very involved with the Rams Club through the years.
Yeah, well, if that grit gets in your shoe, it stays there.
Well, and rumor has it you're pretty conservative too. When I see pictures of you with various conservatives around, so.
Politics, I am.
Right.
Yeah. Dad used to say spending money. I wasn't.
Yeah, that your stepson said that $5 for a double lot, and everybody else paid $10 for a single lot. But hey, you have given it back though, as you've earned. You've given it back.
Well, it's been a good ride. I have really been blessed with family, with associates, with friends. And a lot of support from the right people, including my bankers.
But you have to be a friend to attract friends, Don, and people just really like you. I mean, I had such a good time calling people yesterday, whether it was Gay Brin, who your sister June's had 2 daughters, Jan and Gay, and she said, oh yeah, she said Big D, and I think she called you Donald, but she said, don't call him that. He doesn't like to be called that or something. But she was talking about Uncle Don, and I mean, you've really been blessed with a lot of wonderful family members. And your sister June passed away, a few years ago?
It's been about 7, 8 years, I think now.
But she was involved with the business somewhat for a while.
She worked, she was, yeah.
June
She
Sharon?
was Daddy's bookkeeper till we outgrew her. And we had to get, more professional help. June was good, don't get me wrong, but she stayed here till.
And what about now, Super Flame? Is that affiliated at all with?
Super Flame was started by Dad and June's husband, Hugh.
Hugh Sharon.
And Hugh Sharon. And it was a propane business. And I had an interest in it when Dad died, and I had just started Eagle, and I swapped. No, I didn't either. This is this office building. I swapped my Super Flame stock.
And spun that off.
In the office building. But it's Super Flame is a good, solid company, and of course,
Brad and Ray Brand.
Ray run it now, and they've done a good job. And the girls got it, and they've been blessed. We all have been blessed.
Well, let's talk about some of your hobbies too. I have to admit that I had asked about maybe doing this week, next week instead, and you're going to be inducted into the Twin County Hall of Fame tomorrow night, and you said, "Oh, I'm going hunting." You like to hunt, you like to fish. You're very much of an outdoors person, right?
I love deer hunting. We I have a deer track down in Bertie County. Club I belong to, we have a cabin there.
And I hear your deer stands aren't the normal deer stands. You've got very comfortable accommodations, right?
We got 22 Texas steel towers with steel steps and double handrails. Go up and sit in a carpeted floor with a carpet shelf in front of you, and you got an executive chair.
And air conditioning, is that correct?
Oh, you got sliding windows.
Oh, sliding windows. Oh, well.
When you're deer hunting, you need heat. But yeah,
and your coach that you drive, I mean, that's been a lot of fun for you and Billy, hadn't it?
United States, Canada, coast to coast in Canada.
And is it all you need? I mean, you've got everything so you can live.
There you got at home. You got 5 TVs on it, washer, dryer. I could park it out there in that parking lot and live in it for 3 or 4 weeks and never move it.
And you've recently started going to the mountains. You built a place up there.
Lake Toxaway. We got it's a motor coach resort. We have a coach house, and you have to have a coach to be there. But we have a coach house. We got 1 bedroom upstairs in it, and a big glassed-in porch, and big fireplace, and then we got a living area. And we love it. We spend most of the summers up there. Fat people don't sweat.
No. You used to ride a motorcycle. I remember you, and there was kind of a craze for a while some of you and your friends got motorcycles. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. No. I've aged out of that. I was in the motorcycle business too.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. We had Honda Yamaha in Raleigh and Durham, Chapel Hill.
How'd you get involved in that?
Had Honda and Wilson.
Just
I had a partner that got me in it, and from there we expanded.
So what's business like now? I know it's going really well. Are you expanding? Are you kind of?
No, we're trying to, we're in a severe driver crunch.
Right.
I mean, you see it on TV and it's real. I'd hire 100 drivers tomorrow if the right qualifications came in and applied. But, it's hit and miss out there right now. It's different than it's been.
And the availability of the product of petroleum and all, are you finding what you need? But
yeah, we're getting that. It's no problem now. You have outages and shortages maybe once a month or 2 or 3 days a month or something. But by and large, we're not having any problem getting product. And we're moving, Eagle moves right now probably 1,500 loads a day.
Wow. Well, you want to talk about your nickname, Bigger Better? People love that. And I think part of it comes, I think the rumor that I heard was when people would say, well, I got something or other, you would end up with the bigger, better version of it. Kind of a hobby of yours that you, when you have the means, not that you're trying to one up people, but that you just have a zest for life.
Yeah, I've had some expensive hobbies.
And you used to fly, but you don't fly your own plane now, is that correct?
No, I sit in the back.
That's probably nice, isn't it?
Sit in the back. We bought a jet 10, 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got the first jet, I went to the back and stayed.
Mm.
But I was instrument rated, multi-engine, everything else. When we had the King Airs and Aztecs and Navajos, if I was on the plane, I flew it.
And you've been really generous with your plane, because I remember when we were on the board together and we were interviewing people for being the chancellor, you were volunteering to go get them, pick them up and bring them back, and I understand you've been helpful with Caroline's Gateway Partnership too.
Yeah.
To just volunteer to help, which is wonderful.
Well,
you care about Rocky Mount, don't you, Don?
it's home.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's hard. It's hard not to love your home place.
Mm-hmm.
And your home people, and it's just. You know,
But
just
some people outgrew us, and you could truly say that you outgrew us but you chose to stay here and give back. You were, I want to mention before we run out of time, that you even served recently on the executive board, the board and the executive board of the Board of Trustees at North Carolina Wesleyan.
Yeah.
And I've heard through a mutual friend, he doesn't just serve on a board. When he's there, he lets us benefit from his business expertise, and he really gets involved. You don't just have the title, you do it.
That reputation might be.
No, this was a person who wouldn't say that if it weren't true. I think it was Tom Betts. Do we trust Tom Betts? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Tom loves you. Absolutely.
Tom's
wow.
a good friend. He's a good friend.
Well, and Connor going to Chapel Hill next year, and Edward at VES, so you're going to try and steer him to the blue path too?
Hopefully he'll see the light.
Great, great. Well,
He's smart enough to go, and we'll see. Man,
and Herb is vice chairman here, so Herb Evans.
Herb is vice chair, yeah.
Here.
And, we got a good president, and he and Herb get along fine, and both about the same age.
Good.
So they should.
So we can count on having it stay here, not move the headquarters, hopefully?
I don't think it'll move, not as long as I'm alive.
Good, good. Well, we want you to live for many, many more years.
We got too good a setup here, too convenient.
Well, and you are, Don, please know how loved you are here and appreciated.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
We need people like you, and Rocky Mountain treasures people like you, so thank you. Thank you for all you've done, and thank you for joining us today.